Plus the mouse and our thoughts on episode 5 of season 2 of Behind the Attraction. Right. Do you know what? I'm not going to be as critical about this particular episode as I normally would be, because it's very hard to do an episode on an entire land. I mean, they gave us what? 50 minutes, was it they gave us? 50 minutes, about 50 minutes. And you know what? I think this is one of those rare occasions where I think the pace was just about right. The flow was about right. The balance was alright. So, have we finally now, after what? How many episodes now? 15 episodes in now? Have we finally found an episode where I'm just like, I'm not just bashing it to death. Even though this is not one of my favourite lands. I mean, Epcot, if you've ever been to Epcot, it is so massive. Honestly, it kills your feet if you go. So if you are going to be wanting to wander around that massive park, you need to make sure there are some rides there that you can do. And for me, there wasn't really much. So, but yeah. So I honestly don't think this was a bad episode. Yeah. Because they did their best to try and talk about the work that went into Epcot, try to explain what Epcot is. Although do anyone really know what Epcot is? They were trying to talk about how Epcot is basically what a society might look like, a futuristic society actually. It was built in the early 80s. But yeah, I mean, there was a lot of they tried to cram a lot in there, and I think the most of the balance was kind of right. We did obviously eventually get onto some attractions. They did go in detail on 3, and I think that's what I want to cover on for this show. I want to cover what the parts of the show where they talked about the attractions, and I just want to focus on them more instead. But I mean, trying to explain what Epcot is, I think they did an okay job. Maybe 1 or 2 bits could be a little bit better, but I mean, how are you supposed to try to talk about an entire land in a Disney park in one episode? That kind of feels like it should be a separate series, if you get my gist. I mean, there should be like a separate series where you talk about all the different lands. Could do like a couple of episodes on each one. In all the different Disney parks. But yeah, so they covered 3 attractions today: Spaceship Earth, Frozen Ever After, and Guardians of the Galaxy Cosmic Rewind. So I'll very quickly touch on Spaceship Earth to begin with. It was very futuristic. It feels like very futuristic. I feel like, they're trying to work out obviously all the details and everything that just kind of makes it so unique. But honestly, I just kind of just zoned out. I was like, yeah, I was kind of like, the first half of this episode I was kind of like, yeah, you really are struggling to, to get me, hooked, to get me interested, get me, to try and get me to retain information. But yeah, I just felt, yeah, sure, it's great how you can do this and you can do that, but it's like, I just feel like, I'm not really into all of this technology stuff, so it's like, if you're gonna try and want to get me interested and about it, I just think you need to do a little bit better that one. Yeah, so it's not really like I can sell it. It's the other 2 I kind of was more detailed. Oh, there's a third attraction I forgot to mention as well. There was 4 attractions actually covered. But really only 3 of them are Epcot exclusives. The other one is not, but we'll go through it. Shall we get now on that? So yes, I don't think there's much I can remember about Spaceship Earth to talk about. So then we move on to Frozen Ever After. Okay, now of course obviously Epcot have a Frozen attraction. Because obviously we then go to detail about the World Showcase, which of course has different pavilions dedicated to different areas of the world. you have Canada, the UK, France, Morocco, Japan, Italy, Germany, China, Norway, and Mexico. They're all called pavilions. So we got to learn a bit more about the Norway pavilion and the France pavilion. But we'll stick to the Norway pavilion first. Because of course, obviously, Norway is obviously inspiration for Frozen. And what I thought was really interesting to learn about in this episode was how they went ahead and built this attraction before the film even had come out. So before we even got the opportunity to fall in love with our beloved Olaf and Sven and one more and Elsa. So before we got to see our lovely, lovely Arendelle friends, yes, they went ahead and decided to build this attraction anyway. Now that is a huge gamble in itself, which I think has to be praised for. Because none of us at the time knew how big Frozen was going to be. And I think it's interesting how a lot of the Disney theme parks actually put gambles on it. Like Paris, for example, made a Christmas version of Disney Dreams, and they had Olaf be the presenter and Anna his co-host. And this got released in Paris a couple of weeks before Frozen even had hit the screens. So Disney parks, in the case of Frozen, they were not afraid to make gambles. The big question is, why is it taking so long to build Frozen lands? I know, right? Yeah. So I thought it was really interesting how they were, they're going to take a huge gamble on A, doing an attraction on a film that hasn't been released in cinemas yet, and B, it's replacing a well-loved attraction that's in the pavilion. Now, that's always the case in a Disney park. So most 99% of the time, when a new attraction comes in, it replaces something that was once loved and beloved. But then eventually, people get over that and they love the new attraction. As you saw in the episode. Because they were whipping and cheering, they were singing along with Olaf at the end of it. And they came off the ride. Yeah. So I thought it was really, really, really interesting. And I'd love to see how they wanted to incorporate some elements from the attraction that they were replacing. Particularly with, obviously, Elsa's Let It Go scene. Like how when she does the big number, the boat is lunged backwards. That was quite an impressive effect. But are we not going to address the elephant in the room? I'm surprised they didn't address the elephant in the room, because obviously for a lot of us Disneyland fans, we have always complained about Frozen Ever After. The fact that the animatronics don't have actual working eyes and mouths, Because if you've ever watched, or if you've been on Frozen Ever After, or if you've ever watched videos on it online, you'll notice that in Epcot, the animatronics, they have plasma faces. I know, creepy, it's so creepy when you watch it. It's like, oh my god, oh no, it's actually a horror movie. Yeah, so the animatronics have got plasma faces in Epcot. And I mean, you come on. If this was built in Paris or maybe Hong Kong, fine, it'd be understandable, because we're not as advanced as both Florida and Anaheim are. But no, this is in Florida. This is in a big US state. Surely they would have had the money to, make some movable eyes and mouths. No. But I'm surprised they didn't address, like, the elephant in the room there, like how Epcot's Frozen Ever After, with their animatronics, they don't have movable eyes or mouths. Their faces are basically a plasma screen. But yeah. So, obviously, because this attraction has now been recreated in Hong Kong for Hong Kong's Frozen Land, which opened last year. And I'm very pleased to say that Hong Kong, they've got actual animatronics. Yeah, because we obviously the build up to obviously Frozen after being put in Hong Kong, we've got a lot of Disneyland fan sites, particularly ones with the DOP. You know, showed images and videos about the developments in it and how the animatronics actually were animatronics. So yeah. Now this attraction is also going to be incorporated into Paris. When we finally get our Frozen Land, I'm hoping that we get the Frozen Ever After from Hong Kong and not from Florida. Because it's bad enough we're taking an already established attraction and putting it in Paris. Can we at least have the decency to have actual proper animatronics, you know? So the version that we get in Paris, I hope is similar to what went in Hong Kong. And we get the actual proper animatronics and not the plastic faces. But yeah, so it's great to touch on Frozen and everything. Sticking with Disney IPs, they then moved on to the France Pavilion. And, okay, right. So, they were thinking, what? Seeing how a Disney IP worked well in one pavilion, it could work well in another, right? Yeah, but what makes Frozen Ever After work so well in the North Pavilion is how Frozen Ever After is an original attraction. What you then put in the France Pavilion is not an original attraction because it can already be found in a little Disney resort somewhere here in Europe. You may not have heard of it, called Disneyland Paris. Alright? Now, here in Disneyland Paris, we don't get many original attractions. You know, a lot of our attractions are basically taken from, you know, the other resorts across the world. So it's very, 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 very rare for Disneyland Paris to have like an original attraction. When it comes to original attractions in Disneyland Paris, you have to look at the parades, you have to look at the shows, you have to look at the... Okay, that's where you'll get your originality, because we know how to put on a good show. When it comes to rides, we don't have many that are born in DOP. We did have Motors Action, but of course that is sadly no longer with us, because that area now got refeed to Avengers Campus. And in fact, actually, that area now, the stage area, has actually now been rethemed to Theatre of the Stars. It's now got Alice in Wonderland showing there. So yeah, so that's no longer. So got that. We had that. And then in 2014, we got in Walt Studios Park, if I can still call it that. Yeah, because at the time of calling this episode, the name change hasn't occurred back yet, so we can still call it that. In 2014, we got a really great, amazing area into the two studios area of Walt Studios Park, themed to Ratatouille. We got a little plaster running. It's an amazing little area in the park. It's so gorgeous. I think that's got to be one of my plaster areas. It's got to be one of my favourite areas of Walt Studios Park. For now, anyways. Let me check back to me when Frozen Land finally opens. But for right now, Plaza Remy is kind of one of my favourite little areas because it's just so unique, it's so chic, it just feels like a French pavilion, without being that cop French pavilion. And we have our rider there called Ratatouille Le Bentra Tout le Monde Tout de Remy. Or as you Yanks call it, Ratatouille the Adventure. But you see in Europe, some of us Brits do actually bother to learn another language. Oh yeah, it's not just Hannah Waddingham. Some of us actually do make an effort. But yeah, so... And what I'm honestly, when I heard that Epcot was going to take our attraction and put it in their land and have it be scene by scene, because I've watched it, it's scene by scene by scene, word by word the same. The only difference between our version and Epcot's version is fully in English. Okay, in our version you've got a mixture of French and English. And it just so makes my blood boil that Epcot have done that. Because that attraction, it's built for Paris. It's built for DOP. It's a DOP exclusive attraction. Why are you taking that and replicating it in your resort when we know you could have done something different? I mean, I would have no problem if Epcot wanted to put a Ratatouille ride in their French pavilion. Fine. just do something different. Don't just take what's been a great attraction elsewhere and then copy and paste that into your land and think we won't notice. Because I certainly did. So yeah. So I think it's just because it's a shame because Ratatouille Adventure Tunnel Tour Robbery is such an exclusive ride for us at DLP, and now it's not got that exclusive anymore because somebody else has already taken it, copied it, nicked it, and put it in their own resort. But yeah, anyway. And then the final attraction, because I don't want to get sweary here. Not in the mood today. The final attraction was Guardians of the Galaxy Cosmic Rewind. Wow, that is a high tech attraction. A lot has gone into making that. It just looks. I mean, and obviously given the timing of where one of the main characters is set, it's kind of plausible how you could see them be inspired and then go and ask the Xandorians to build a ride. So yeah, there's a lot that, but then again, it's back to the whole technology side of it, and I'm just like not interested. Like I said, you've really got to convince me if you're gonna go something high tech and present as high tech. You've got to really convince me this is worth talking about. Yeah, because there's a lot that went into making Cosmic Rewind, but it's a lot of information to try and retain, which unfortunately it's a kind of passing by. So as a whole, I mean, I have to give them credit for trying to do a full episode on a land because we've seen already so far these first 15 episodes. It's not many easy for them to even talk about one set attraction for. But I have to give them credit for being able to at least try to talk about one particular land for how long it was. And honestly, this episode, I'm not saying this is a bad episode. I think it was okay, but just there were times where I just kind of zoned out because I just wasn't really feeling it, wasn't really interested in it. But no, it didn't do that bad of a job. Okay, so thank you for watching today's show. If you love it, do click button. If not subscribed to the channel, can I make click button? Ask why you want to know when content about the plus math. You can post it on my official YouTube channel. Until next one,